Ironman Galveston, and I was training for Ironman Galveston, and I was having abdominal pain, and I just thought it was, I was changing my diet. I thought my body was getting used to it. It wasn't getting any better. And we went out for a bike ride, and afterwards we went out to eat, and I couldn't eat. And my friend's like, "That's not you. You finished your plate and ours." So, so that day when I got home, I thought, "Let me walk around. Maybe it'll pass." And I walked around until 4 in the morning, and the pain got worse, and I drove myself to Valley Baptist ER, and there the doctor did a CT scan and MRI of my abdomen, and told me that, "I think you have diverticulitis. I think we're going to send you home." And then another doctor comes in and says, "I think you have diverticulitis. It's a little bit worse than we thought. We're going to admit you to the hospital." And then another doctor walks in and says, "I think you have cancer." So I said, if you have another doctor, please don't send him in, because it's getting worse by the second. So I was admitted for 10 days with no food, water, just nothing but IV fluids, and I lost 12 pounds. And when I got discharged, I told the doctor, "I have Ironman Galveston to do. Do you mind if I do it?" And he said, "You're not going to do very well, but go ahead and do it. Just take your time." So, but after Ironman Galveston, you're getting a colonoscopy, and your butt is literally mine when you get back. And sure enough, I did Ironman Galveston, came back and had a colonoscopy, and they found it to be a malignant tumor the size of a silver dollar in my colon here.
And so that was exactly 1 year ago.
Yeah, and then I had surgery and woke up on April 28th of 2017 in a hospital bed with the staples and drain out of me. And that's when I just told God, listen, I'll do what it takes to live. I'll help other people. I'll inspire other people, and I will finish an Ironman. Because of 27 years ago, I tried an Ironman event and I failed. And I guess I let fear keep me from doing it again. And I wasn't going to let that happen this time. So I just encourage people who are afraid of trying new things or doing an Ironman or just starting to exercise, don't be afraid. Because if you let fear drive you, you'll never accomplish anything. So I want them to know that never be afraid to try something for your health or something fun, because you never know how far you'll get. You just take that first step to do it. So that's what I promised God, and Saturday I finished a full Ironman in 13 hours and 23 minutes.
So last year it was the one in Galveston. It was the half Ironman.
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
So it was half Ironman.
Yes.
And so 27 years, that's a long
A
time.
long time
go
to,
back to.
yes, it was. And, much older, 50. Mm-hmm. And so I guess, again, that word fear comes back to your mind. You failed the first time. What are you doing? You're way older now. What are you going to do getting on a bike and swimming with these tall, built, skinny people? And I'm 5'8" and chunky. So, and that's, I put my fear aside, and I found out that I can be an Ironman and that I am an Ironman. And I received literally hundreds of text messages and phone calls saying, "We love you, we believe in you."
So how was it getting back out there after the surgery? How were your first steps?
I was supposed to be off of work for 12 weeks, and I went back in 2.
So what do you do?
I'm an RN, and I work for the Cameron County Sheriff's Department. I run the medical departments in our jails there. So I was left home by myself because everybody has to go back to work. Mm-hmm. And on the first day that I got back from the hospital, I thought, I'm going to start walking. Well, I went outside and it was hot, and I tried to walk around the block. Didn't make it halfway, and I almost fell and had to hold on to a car. I had to call a friend to come pick me up. That was my first day, and I said, I'm gonna come back no matter what it takes. So I started walking around my block. and got further every time. And then instead of waiting 12 weeks, 4 weeks later, I was already in the pool. I was already walking, and the doctor even said I was crazy, but I told him I'm going to be back sooner than what you told me I'm going to be back at. And sure enough, 4 weeks later, I'm swimming, I'm walking, and actually got to help volunteer at the Los Fresnos Triathlon, and that's when I knew I had to be back. And as soon as the staples and the drain came out, I was back at it. And the doctor said, wait 2 weeks after we take the staples and the stitches out. I waited 2 days, and that was it. I was back. It's just something about how when people come up to you and tell you that they love you and they care for you and that you're their inspiration and that you motivate them, it makes you want to be come back even faster and help people and just, be there for them. And like I said, a lot of people from the valley were there. I believe it was 17 to 20 people. We all had dinner at the Ironman banquet, and we all laughed and cried and prayed together. You can't do an Ironman by yourself, and it takes a team of people, friends and family. So if I could thank anybody, I would thank my wife, Dolores, Dolores, my Sherpas, and those are people that help you, Baltasar, Lorena, Mari, Rosie, her daughter. They were with me the whole time. I'd like to thank my friends Ray and Patty, who made a special trip up there just to see me. It's amazing that when we have teams that go up there that support you, but when you have people that call you and say, the day you signed up for Ironman, we rented a hotel room because we wanted to be there for you. That's makes you feel real good inside, yeah. I'm sorry, I'm a blubbering idiot.
It's okay.
Things that we got. So these were my Sherpas here. Let me just show the picture of that. Those were the people that went with me up there just to take care of me. Mm-hmm. And all of the people that, would follow you, they would tell you, we're following you. You're doing great. You're amazing. Oh, that's my picture. That's something else. Sorry. But just to keep me loose, and they knew I was excited and nervous at the same time. But it was fantastic. So I had a great time up there. But I got to thank my family, because training for an Ironman takes you away from everybody. In fact, a couple of friends of mine called me NFD, no fun Dean, during the whole training. And they told me that once Ironman's over, the old Dean better come back. So I promised that we're going to party and have a great time for a few weeks, because now I'm training for Ironman Waco coming up. So no fun Dean is gone for a few weeks, and then the real Dean will come back for a couple more, and then that's it. But what an experience to be there with all the people from the Rio Grande Valley and the Valley athletes. People kind of ignore and neglect us down here because of our high rate of obesity and hypertension and diabetes. They think, what kind of athletes can come out of that place? Because we love flour tortillas as much as anybody else. But you'd be surprised, the athletes that from the Valley that I went up there with, they're Boston marathoners, they're multiple Ironmans, great people as well. I think you can't meet a mean person who's training for an Ironman. I think everybody helps each other. So you're going to meet nothing but great people. And Ironman is a fairly new sport. If you think about it, Ironman is only 40 years old. Compared to the NFL, who's almost 100 years old, basketball is almost 100 years old or older. We want to make Ironman last 240 years. We want it to last 1,000 years. So for being a relatively new sport, we want people, ambassadors, that are kind and gentle and loving and caring and motivating to say, hey, come join the sport. It's new. Let's make it grow together. And that's what Ironman is all about. It's just helping it grow and motivating each other. That's it. That's the thing for Ironman.
So how did you get started in Ironman, half Ironmans and athletics?
Well, 27 years ago, it was a dare, actually. A friend of mine said, I dare you to do it. And so I was always a swimmer, and I had to borrow a friend's bike, and I didn't even have a good pair of running shoes. In fact, this is how old I am. Nike used to have white shoes that were red, white, and blue with the blue red stripe on there. I don't know what they're called, but that's the Nike shoes I wore. I did well on the swim. I did great on the bike, and then got on the run and cramped on mile 6. In fact, I was in a fetal position, and they had to drag me off the course. But we didn't have goos and gels and little pocket food like that. We had Gatorade and peanut butter sandwiches, and that's all I had. And I cramped on mile 6, and they drug me off the course. And since that day, 27 years ago, I was afraid to do it again. But I think I'm smarter. I think I'm wiser, not smarter. But I went old school again on my nutrition this time. I had peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. A friend of mine made me little brownies, scratch brownies, recovery brownies, and that's all I had with Gatorade. And I actually did better than ever, and better than I thought. So that's how I got into it, on a dare, and just kind of stayed with it the whole time. And I can tell you that the one thing that saved my life, and that's what the doctor told me, is that the reason why you're alive and you came tonight is because you were in great shape. Because if you would have been obese or had any type of a history with medical problems, you probably would have let that pain go. And the next time you came in, we would have opened you up and probably said it's way too late. And we probably put you in hospice care, and you wouldn't be alive. So being healthy, working out, saved my life, and that's why I encourage people now, get out there and do something. It starts with one step, and don't be afraid to take that step. It could save your life later. It's called 20 Weeks of Hell. Yes, that's exactly what it's called. Ironman training is called 20 Weeks of Hell. You literally go, and that's why it's called, you literally go through hell. You wake up early in the morning, you train late at night, you have to fit in work and family time and eating as well. But it's called 20 Weeks of Hell, so I would wake up in the mornings and run, or wake up in the mornings and go swim, and then bike or run or swim in the afternoon. So it's finding people that can motivate you to meet me here to swim, and meet me here to run, and meet me here to ride bikes. So I will tell you that I'm part of a team, Lone Star Pace Setters, and they're very supportive. But I also have a lot of other friends on other teams, like I Try and the Gators and Team Turbo, that also work out with me and motivate me. And also I have to put in Bicycle World, RGV. Henry Roberts helped me by sponsoring me, giving me some money to go compete in Ironman, because it's very expensive. And what I do with the money, I spent it at Bicycle World, so he got his money back. But I ended up giving my medal to him just to thank him yesterday, just for being, great to our community. He helps out at every event that he can. And so I wanted to thank him from the bottom of my heart, and I gave him my medal and dedicated the race to him. I crossed the finish line wearing the Bicycle World shirt that I had on mile 18 on the run. I picked it up and put it on to cross the finish line just to thank him. So all the teams and all my friends in Bicycle World, they helped me achieve this goal of completing an Ironman.
So tell me what it was like to cross that finish line.
Can I show you the video?
Yeah.
Sure. Sounds great. Let's see this. So one of my Sherpas, you're elated, everything that you can think of, every feeling that you have, from just being tired to having the most energy in the whole wide world, that's what it's like to cross an Ironman finish line. And that they have Mike Riley say, Dean Garza, yes, sir. You're an Ironman. I cried like a baby the whole. And I guess that's one time where you can be a man and cry like a baby at a finish line, because it's okay. You feel all the love and support from your friends and family, that all the hard work you did, and you appreciate everybody that supported you, and to just have the happiest feeling of your life. I mean, your wedding day, graduating from high school or college, the birth of your kids, and then being an Ironman. It has up there. It's up there with that. And when you hear Mike Riley, I mean, I hear it in my head every day. Dean Garza, yes, sir, you are an Ironman. Best feeling in the world with your clothes on. I promise you. Yes, it is. So, amazing. Just amazing how the feeling that you have. Yeah. But to describe the feelings that you have when you see the red carpet, I mean, I guess it's like being a movie star, a pop star, a superstar athlete. When you're walking on the court and everybody's calling your name, even if they don't know you, they'll scream your name because your name's on your bib. So you had thousands of spectators go, "Come on, Dean, you got this." And so and I know everybody's screaming your name, but you can't hear anything. They could be screaming, because that's my friend Balthasar. He was like, "Dean," I could not hear a thing. Even though people were screaming, all you see is the red lights and the finish line. And I'll be honest, I couldn't even hear Dean Garza, "Yes, sir, you're an Ironman," until he played that video for me. So you have 1,000 people screaming, and you don't hear a thing. I don't know if you can describe that or not, or put that into words, but imagine being in a concert and not being able to hear the singer at all. That's exactly how it was crossing that line. But just the emotions, you're overcome with them. I got a message saying, "Dean Garza, we saw you cross the finish line crying, and we were crying with you." And that's from 5.5 hours away. So that's how amazing that feeling is to cross the finish line. Let me see. I never cut the grass. So all the honey-do list never got done. I was in trouble all the time. I have to thank my wife and my family. I was crabby and cranky and tired and never wanted to do anything but train. So if you took a picture of my front yard, the grass is about waist high. My pool was never cleaned. I lived out of my car. I have piles of clothes that I still have to wash because my wife said I'm not doing those. But very loving and supporting the whole time. And my wife just knew that this was a goal of mine, and she was going to support me no matter what happened. So she took over the roles of everything for me. She became dad and mom for the 20 weeks and did it lovingly the whole time, even though she'll tell you that she yelled at me a lot. She did it lovingly. And to have her there at the finish line and be the first person I saw and screaming, "I'm so proud of you. You're my Ironman." "I'm your Ironman." Yep. That's what I told her. That, yes, I'm your Ironman. And so we celebrated and the whole time with her and my Sherpas, that we just hugged each other and cried together, and I promised them that I would help them because I want them to all do Ironman Waco. So I told them I'll be there to help you and that I'll be your Sherpa, even though that's wrong. I'm called the worst Sherpa ever because I always sign up for the events that they sign up for. But I told them that I'll help them cross the finish line in Waco. And I made that promise to them. So when we start training for Waco, I'm going to help them in any way possible to cross that finish line. I want them to get the feeling that I had when I finished. And even though some people will say it's only a half Ironman, let me tell you something. It's a half Ironman. I don't care who you are or what you've done in your life. If you've done a half Ironman, to me, you're an Ironman. So there's no half about it. So my goal is to get them to cross the finish line too in Waco. So that's my goal for them. Your whole life for 20 weeks. I had to worry about my weight. I had to worry about my food. I had to worry about my hydration. And then worry about all your other real life things. Ironman is like living in a movie. You know that everything that's going to happen, exciting, scary. It's a comedy because if you're not laughing, you're crying the whole time. It's like living a blockbuster summer movie. And at the very end, you're either going to reach this crescendo and you're going to be clapping and crying that it ended, or it's going to be a scary movie and you don't make it. A lot of people that train for it don't finish. And those are the people that you really root for. Everybody sees the pros. You see Ironman on TV and they're like, and the pros are out and they did it in 7 hours and 30 minutes. That's fantastic. That's their job. I want to root for the people that have an 8-to-5 job or work 2 jobs and have a family that have to find a time to fit it in. Those are the people that you want to see. The oldest lady was 68. The oldest man was 72. There were people there 18 years old doing their first amputations, no legs. There was another gentleman that had to swim. His son is handicapped, and he had to do the swimming, tugging him in a boat. He was on the bike riding with his full-size son in a carriage, climbing up the hills on the toll road on a bike. That for me it was difficult to do by myself, so I can imagine him and pulling his son on the bike. He finished, and at the very end on the red carpet, his son stood up on a walker and crossed the finish line. Those are the people that you root for. The regular people. To me, that's what Ironman's about. It's not about the professionals. It's about the everyday people that say, hey, I want to do that. And I'm going to do whatever it takes to do it. And that's do your job, take care of your family, and train, and then go up there and just give it all you got. You have 17 hours to do it. My goal was 16 hours, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds. And for some people, like our friends here in the Valley, it took them 16 hours, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds. But you know what they call the first person that crosses the finish line and the last person that crosses the finish line? An Ironman. So it didn't matter if you finished it in 7 hours or 17 hours, you are still an Ironman. And until you turn that medal over and it says, hey, it took Dean 16 hours, 59 minutes, 59, I'll worry about it. But until then, I'm an Ironman just like the first place winner is, and so is everybody else that crossed that finish line. So even though you're doing a story about me, it's not about me. It's about everybody who wants to do something, who wants to be an Ironman, who wants to run a marathon, who wants to ride a bike. It's about those people that say, man, I want to do it. What do I have to do? Can I tell those people something right now? I'll do whatever it takes to help you make it. So I want to be the guy that's you can approach. I want to be the guy that no one's afraid to come and ask, hey, how do you do this? Or can you help me do that? I want to be that person. So I'm making myself approachable to anybody who has a goal that wants to be an Ironman or do a half Ironman or start riding a bike. Come to me, ask me. I'll help you with whatever it takes to make you or help you reach that goal. So from this day forward, if anybody needs help, come find me. Find me on Facebook, Twitter, Messenger, and just say, hi, Dean, and I'm there to help you. So I want to make myself accessible to anybody that wants to try to do this journey for themselves. I'll be here for you too.